Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about a super exciting snowstorm coming for the Great Plains, as well as up through portions of the Midwest and Southern Rockies as well. Now, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social medias. Now, yesterday's comment of the day was, what do you think my favorite NBA team is? And I'm going to have the answer to that at the end of this video, but what do you think my favorite NFL team is? And we're going to go over all the major sports and just go through those. Probably by the end, you'll be able to tell what teams are all my favorite though. So let's get started with this video though. So we're going to be starting out with our simulated radar here, and this is very important because we're going to get to see what hours snowfall will be occurring in what region. So obviously this is very, very helpful for you to get your weather information, especially if you live in the impacted regions. So we're starting things out, and this is actually going to be today. I would say this is approximately by about 3 p.m. today on Friday, March 13th, and we can see there is some moderate to heavy snow going on there for portions of Colorado, Nebraska, and Kansas for the most part. The deeper the blue, the heavier the snow. That's what you should probably be keeping in mind. Let's go ahead and move on an hour here, and this one's going to be more by about 11 p.m. here, I would say, and we can see that the snow really starts to spread out by the time we're getting later into tonight. We see portions of South Dakota there, all of Nebraska being taken over by some moderate snowfall, and that is reaching its way into Iowa as well. Northern Kansas, you're getting some of this, as well as portions of eastern Colorado still getting some snowfall. The mountains will be getting some snowfall as well, more enhanced amounts just because it's higher elevation. In my snowfall forecast at the end of the video, I will touch more on kind of the elevation-based snowfall that will be occurring. Now we're about to move on, and we're going to move towards tomorrow, which is going to be Saturday, March 14th, and we're going to take a look at when things start to impact some more areas. Now we can see more of South Dakota getting impacted by this point. Lots of areas there in South Dakota. We also see some areas in North Dakota seeing some snowfall as well. But again, mostly South Dakota and Nebraska, northern Kansas as well. We see rain in southern Kansas, mix for central Kansas, and then northern Kansas, and even western Kansas by this point, mostly getting snowfall. Heavier snowfall right near where it's mixing in, and it gets lighter as you move further away from that point. We see southern and western Iowa as well getting some moderate snowfall by this point, probably accumulating in those regions as well. I'm expecting the most accumulations there for southern South Dakota as well as in through portions of Nebraska as well. Maybe northern Kansas getting in on some of that, and maybe even eastern Colorado, but we'll see at the end as we move towards our snowfall forecast. All right, so let's move towards about... This one's going to be approximately about, I would say, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, which is, again, is going to be Saturday, March 14th. And we see the snowfall really stretches to more areas in South Dakota as well as North Dakota there, that moderate snowfall. Things are kind of tapering off there for Nebraska and as well as portions of Kansas. And we see most of the snowfall has made its way into portions of Iowa, Missouri, and even Illinois by this point, at least the heaviest snowfall. But really, South Dakota is getting more by this point, and even Nebraska as well. We're about to move on further into Saturday and maybe even move into Sunday as well here as we move along during this exciting winter storm. Alright, and this frame is probably going to be by about noontime or maybe 1 p.m. here on Saturday, March 14th, and we can see that the snow is really tapering off and becoming mostly just snow showers there for North Dakota, South Dakota, and even portions of Nebraska. The very eastern regions of Nebraska there probably still seeing some moderate snowfall, but it is coming to an end by this point, I would say. Iowa, you're just getting started with the moderate snowfall. The southern half of Iowa looks to get the most snowfall, as you can see here. And then northern Missouri as well getting some of that snowfall. Could be having some mixing issues indicated by those pinks though, so we're going to need to be on the lookout for that. And that could really hinder snowfall totals if we start to see more of that mixing going on. That could create a lot of problems for accumulation. But for Illinois, we see also in through Indiana, we do see that moderate snowfall for the more central and northern regions of those two states by this point. Rain to the south, obviously. Let's go ahead and move on, and this one I would say is going to be approximately by about dinner time, so I would say 4 to 6 p.m. here, and we can see really things start to come to an end there for Nebraska, Kansas, and even Missouri and Iowa by this point. It really becomes more sporadic, and it becomes more like snow showers as we head later in the day tomorrow, which is again going to be Saturday. We can see snow showers for Iowa, Missouri, and heavier ones there for Illinois, but in through Indiana, it's a lot more spotty. And then even Ohio and West Virginia getting some brief snowfall. I think accumulation for those regions in the very more eastern regions of this storm are going to be very minimum, though. Probably 1 to 2 inches maximum, but probably not even very noticeable. That's going to be very spotty and hard to forecast. West Virginia has the most chance for that accumulating snowfall, though. Now we're about to move on and take more of a look at the East Coast here, and we're going to move towards Saturday night into Sunday and just take a look at the very tail end of this snowfall event here. All right, so this is going to be by about 8 p.m. on Saturday, March 14th. And we can see Ohio gets taken over by some snowfall. Again, it's going to be very brief, though. I think very minimal in terms of accumulation, maybe a dusting a little bit more. And same story for western Pennsylvania there, as well as northern West Virginia. And I think even the mountains there, probably in the more central eastern regions. If you're familiar with the topography of West Virginia, you know there are some very high elevation areas there in the eastern portion of the state. I think we could get some snowfall there as well, and even the very western regions there of Maryland, very mountainous region. I think we could see some accumulations for those mountains there along the Appalachian Mountains. And again, that's going to be by approximately 8 p.m. on Saturday. Let's go ahead and move on, and this one's going to be by probably about 1 a.m. on Sunday, March 15th, and you can see things are really coming to an end. But we could see snow showers there for northern West Virginia kind of linger on, and as well as western Maryland and throughout the state of Pennsylvania, central and northeastern regions of Pennsylvania. Snow showers, even moderate to heavy snow showers, could be possible throughout the night of Saturday through into Sunday, even northern New Jersey and southern New York there. Now that's basically all for snowfall on the simulated radar. It basically comes to a very halting, screeching end there after that point. We see it really become just flurries and then basically end within the hours after that point. So really not much else in terms of snowfall after that point. Now we're about to move on and we're going to look at our modeled snowfall forecasts here, and then we're also going to look at our current winter storm weather advisories, warnings, and watches, and then we're going to take a look at our official direct weather snowfall forecast for this winter storm. All right, now first things first, we're going to be looking at our NAM 3km accumulated positive snow depth change, and you may be wondering what's the difference between that and just total snowfall. Well, this is what the model actually thinks is going to accumulate, and that's the big difference versus the total snowfall. Total snowfall doesn't account for melting, doesn't account for temperatures or anything like that. It's just the amount of snow the liquid amount of snow that it thinks is going to fall, and that can be very misleading. We've seen this many times where that very much so overestimates the amount of snow, and then really we see a lot less than that. So this is going to be a much more realistic number. We can see for the southern Rockies there, we do see amounts in the purples, and the purples is where we're really going to be seeing 4 to 6 inches, maybe even 6 inches plus for some of those regions. And then really, I think for portions of South Dakota, Nebraska, and even northwestern Kansas there, that's where we're looking at 1 to 3 inches of snow. We do see some purples there for Nebraska and South Dakota. That's again where we're looking at 3 inches plus, so I am taking that into account in my my snowfall forecast at the end of this video. But throughout Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio there, we do see portions of 1 to 3 inches of snow being possible in there. That's going to be very spotty and hard to forecast. I think it could be a little bit more brief than what the models are predicting, so we could see much less snow than what this is showing. Again, I've hinted at maybe a dusting to 1 inch. The models seem to think 2 to 3 inches, but I don't think that'll be the case. And then here's our NAM 12K model, which is just a little bit of a lower resolution. And this one, it has a lot more like a dusting there for some of those states like Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. So I think this one's a lot more realistic with that. And then again, still for Kansas, South Dakota, and Nebraska, hinting at maybe 3 inches plus there as well. Here's your GFS model. I like this one the most. I think this is the most realistic. It really just hints at nothing to maybe a dusting there for some of those states like Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and then maybe 3 to 6 inches of snow throughout portions in South Dakota, mostly Nebraska, and then even Kansas and Colorado as well. Here's your current watches, warnings, and advisories here, and we see in the purples, we see winter weather advisories there, and then in the pink colors, that's where we have winter storm warnings, so that could be the areas where the National Weather Service thinks we could see the most snowfall, so portions of Nebraska and South Dakota is where they're kind of eyeballing as well. Now for our official snowfall forecast here, you can see that we're calling for a dusting to 3 inches of snow throughout all of these white regions here, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and then throughout portions of northwestern Kansas, especially all of Nebraska, southern South Dakota, and then through portions of southern Iowa, northern Missouri, and in through maybe a little bit of Illinois as well. Let's add that 3 to 6 inch region, and we can see we have 2 of them, one up there for Montana. That's not really associated with our system, but it was on the map, so I wanted to include it. But mostly South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, and then a little bit of Wyoming and Colorado as well. And then here is our 6 to 10 inch amounts here, and you can see I do have a few dots there for South Dakota and Nebraska. I think a couple areas will see 6 to 10 inches throughout those regions, but mostly you can see there for the southern Rockies in Colorado, and then even down through New Mexico. I think high elevation areas could get 6 to 10 inches of snow, and then we have a pretty widespread area up there for Montana as well. All right, now for your comment of the day, Tammy Ferguson was the first one to comment the Celtics. That is my favorite NBA team. I'm very sad that the season is suspended for now, and I can't wait to see basketball come back. I'm very excited about how the Celtics have been. Let me know what your favorite NBA team is. Do you like the Celtics as well? Let me know in the comments down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media, and I will see you guys in the next video.